Good morning. Thank you for joining our session today where I'll be talking about how to deliver big support with a small team. My name is Barbara Tassa. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager here at Desk.com at Salesforce. And I've been with Salesforce for about a year and a half where I work with new and existing desk customers to optimize their support processes and assist in desk configurations. Now, in case you haven't heard of Desk.com, it is an all-in-one customer support software tool that helps you provide awesome support for your customers. Desk is typically used by small teams and fast-growing startups to help manage customer requests, and we also see it used within large enterprise customers that want to manage internal employee requests. Now, if you're just starting to figure out how to manage customer support, you may feel like this guy trapped in the conference room. Tons of email, tasks all over the place, basically chaos. Anyone feel a bit overwhelmed with the volume of requests? If you do relate, I want you to know that you're not alone. When I work with our new desk customers, especially when they're currently using email, I often hear things like, we spend a lot of time handling requests one by one. Customer requests are falling through the cracks. We're not sure if we got back to everybody. And overall, it's just hard to quantify customer issues. Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? Are they changing? So if you're already using some type of software to manage customer requests, if your team or business has grown really quickly, you can also find yourself in a similar position, scrambling to adjust as your team gets more inquiries. If these issues are hitting close to home, you are in the right place because I have some good news. We can solve these issues with Desk.com. Take the example of Lose It, a customer that I work with here at Desk. Lose It makes a fitness app that helps you keep track of your food intake and exercise to keep you motivated to reach your fitness goals. With just 4 full-time agents and some flex agents, they are able to support a community of over 24 million members, and for their premium members, they've even been able to provide responses in less than 24 hours. So if the team at Lose It can do it, so can you. And that's exactly what we'll be talking about today. So I'll talk to you about 3 strategies that can help you get to a great place with your support. So specifically, we'll talk about creating a data model and business process, automating repetitive tasks, and iterating on your setup. Now, before I start using Desk or any customer start using Desk, I do suggest that you take a few steps back to prepare to really make it work for your unique business and your customers' needs. So let's talk about the data model and business process. What do I actually mean by that? It's not some complicated formula that you have to figure out. It's simply what is important to your business and your customers. A great way to approach creating your data model and business process is to ask a few key questions and try to draw it out on a whiteboard. The 5 key questions that I like to ask are, who are your customers? Why do they contact you? How do they contact you? Who handles your customer inquiries? And overall, what are the problems you're trying to solve? Now, it's actually a fun exercise to do with your team, and you'll likely uncover new and really interesting insights. When you whiteboard your process, identify the key issues or data points that you want to track with your customer inquiries. You may also uncover that you need integrations with other software tools or data repos to really truly serve your customers. So let's say for me that I really wanted to look at 2 key things on each case that a customer emails us, 1 being contact reason, 2 being customer type. What I'll do is I'll brainstorm with the team to get all of the contact reasons uncovered so we know what all of the options are. And after this whiteboarding process, I typically create a shared spreadsheet where I can document the team's findings. So before I go further, let's just take one step back to talk about a little bit of desk terminology. You may have heard things like labels or custom fields, but not really know what the difference is. So on this slide is a detailed part of what an agent will see when they're working on a case in Desk. Labels are the things that you see in blue, so the urgent or follow-up. They are reportable, which is great, but they're best used in things that are exceptions or alerts and you want to draw attention to it. Custom fields are the opposite. They're best used when you want to capture key case level information. So your reporting is really consistent and you capture all of that core information for every single case. So going back to our workflow, when we take the results of our whiteboarding, brainstorm, and create custom fields in Desk, that's the information we want to capture. So after I've created the custom fields, I'll get our team into Desk to make sure that everything looks and feels right. So at this point, you may be wondering, why go through the trouble of whiteboarding and documenting our process before actually jumping into the tool? And the answer is this: it helps get all of the ideas on the table before we've invested too much time customizing the tool. You know, if it looks too polished and final, your team may be afraid to tell you that something doesn't look right. So just get them involved at the beginning. So now let's talk about automation. Once I've set up and tested the tool and find the process works really well, I'll start to look at ways to automate the business processes that I covered in the previous step. So how do you know when it's a good time to automate? Again, I'll start by asking some questions. One, are we answering the same questions over and over again? Two, are our customers actually easily able to articulate their issues? Are there role-based emails for specific issues? So, for example, billing at my company versus warranty claims at my company. And do our customers actually prefer to solve their own issues? And based on the answers to these questions, I may want to use some of the following automation tools in Desk. So I'll talk about macros, a contact form, the support center, and rules. So let's talk about the first one. What is a macro in Desk? It's basically a Desk feature that your agents use when they're responding to customer inquiries in Desk. It's a one-click thing that can fill in text, add labels, change drop-downs or custom fields, and do a lot more. If you think of it this way, if your agent can click on it or see it in their Desk instance, a macro can be used to automate it. And here's an example. I've used a macro in this case to populate the customer name, says Hey Barb or Hi Barb, and it has a message that's entered in. And on the right-hand side, you can see that I've populated some custom fields on this case. So using macros for your agents is pretty easy, and creating them for administrators is just as easy actually. So what I do is I go into the Desk admin mode and I tell Desk what I actually want to say. So to enter something like the customer first name, I use what's called a liquid variable that you can find more information on in the support center, which is support.desk.com. And you can add other fields that are dynamic to the specific customer record. All right, the second automation that I want to talk about is the contact form. So if you actually yourself go to support.desk.com and you want to send our team an email, you'll get taken to this contact form. And our support team has customized the form so we get the necessary customer contact info, the product version that they're using, as well as why they're contacting us. So you can actually take your contact form and customize it as much as you want for your business, just like we have here. Since our customers are great at describing what they need, it really works well for us. And now once I were to submit an email here from the contact form, it goes into the Desk inbox, so it's all integrated together. And the great thing about this particular tool is that you can even have it be standalone. The contact form can be standalone from the support center. So if you don't want to use the support center, you can actually just take the contact form and embed it in your own website. All right, so the third thing I want to talk about is automation with rules. Earlier I said I love macros, and I actually love rules way more. Let me tell you why. So Desk created the rules engine to run based on what's happening on your support case. So if you see the rules on the left-hand side, I have things like inbound interactions, outbound interactions, case created, all the way down to time rules and the CSAT submitted. So what that means is an inbound rule will run when a case gets sent into Desk or your customer is emailing you, versus an outbound interaction. So rules in that category will get triggered when your team member replies back to your customer in Desk. So if you have role-based emails, for example, like we talked about, billing at, product registration at, returns at, or something along those lines, you have already provided your customers a way to tell you at a high level why they're actually contacting you. So it could be a billing reason or a returns reason. And let's say if I run a bike shop where I have cyclists and vendors as my two customer types, and I want to categorize those emails because I have a unique email address that I provide to each of those customer types. So let's see what that would look like. In this case, what I first want to do is tell Desk what to look for. So I have to tell it some kind of conditions to look for. So in this case, I want to tell it to look for emails that contain cyclist@basecycles.com. So that's what my cyclists are using. And I want to tell it that the case status is new. So it only runs the first time I get an email from a customer. Then the second thing I do is tell Desk what to do once it finds a case like that. So that's the rules action. And in this case, my rule action is going to be to set the case assigned group to the staff team, because the staff team handle these particular cases. And I'm also going to categorize this email as coming from a cyclist. And so basically what I've accomplished by creating this rule is to, one, correctly categorize who the case came from, and two, route the case to the right group of agents. So that's just one example of automation. And there's a lot you can do with rules once you figure out what you need based on that data model that we talked about earlier, as well as your specific business process. All right, so I've saved the best automation for last, and that is the support center. Now, the support center is basically a website where your customers can go to get answers without having to talk to your team at all. It's kind of like Wikipedia for your business. The support center is built right into your Desk account, so you can create as many help articles for your customers as you need. Here's a screenshot of the Desk Support Center that you can go and see for yourself if you go to support.desk.com. And why would you consider doing this for your business? I think it's a really great way for you to push content to your customers so your agents don't get as many cases. And you may have customers that are already comfortable answering their own questions, so this is a great way for you to give them all the information so they can answer the questions themselves. Great, and now let's talk about iteration. Rome wasn't built in a day, and well, your Desk setup will also grow and evolve. So you can be proactive about this iteration by looking at your data and your setup. So think of it this way. When you set up Desk and you start getting your customer emails into Desk, you're now creating data that you can later look back on and track what's going on in your support. So the three things that I typically like to look at are the macros report, the custom fields report, and then, more holistically, actually get the team involved, make sure I capture their feedback. So Desk actually provides out-of-the-box business insights reporting, and as long as you have the right permission level, you're able to go and see data about your cases. So let's talk about the macros report first and why we want to use that. So one of the automations we talked about earlier was the macro, and it's a great way to automate a lot of those frequently asked questions that your customers may be emailing you. By looking at the macros report, you're now actually able to see, sort of from like a 20,000 foot level, what are the top macros that are used by your team. And so that way you can think of, okay, well, if they're not used a lot, does our team know that these macros exist? Maybe the customers have started asking about different issues. So maybe some macros are no longer needed. And likewise, you can start looking at macros as leading indicators for which articles you may want to write for your support center if you do plan on using that. So the second report I like to look at is the custom fields report in Desk. And custom fields report, if you do plan on using custom fields based on what we talked about earlier, it helps you track, the issue types and other fields that are important for your business. So here you can see, for example, what are the most and least issues reported by your customers. You can identify changing trends, or if you see something where one custom field is getting all of the hits, it could signal that there's a better way to break down that issue type by adding more granular options. And it's also very common to update your custom field options on a regular cadence because your business may be evolving and changing. One example of that could be, let's say your engineering team is about to release a new feature. You can add that new feature as a custom field list option and preempt that issue type. So if the product does go out and there's some feedback your customers want to provide, you're able to capture and report on that right away. The last tip I want to talk about is getting your team involved. Do this early, do this often. Your agents are going to be using your support tool every single day, so their happiness is important for your overall customer happiness. Get them involved in regular meetings, give them training, as well as the agency to improve your processes. So to sum up, to optimize and scale support, first, I want to keep track of what my customers care about and what's important for my business. Second, I want to automate away any repetitive tasks so I can respond faster to my customers. And third, I want to improve over time and see where I can improve further. Taken together, doing these three things will really help me take better care of my customers. And that's really how Desk empowers even small teams to deliver big support. Now, I know I've covered many topics here today, and to get more detail, I do encourage you to consult a couple of these resources. Support.desk.com has a ton of material, articles, videos on how to do all the things I talked about today and much more. We do have a cool Desk-specific trail. If you go to trailhead.salesforce.com, it's a great way to get your team comfortable with Desk. So there are fun modules that you can try there. And if you like these webinars and if you want to learn more, check out desk.com/webinars-events where we have more webinars. And of course, if you have any questions about a product, you can always email our support team. They can be reached by emailing support@desk.com. Thanks so much.